Hello, it's me, Vera, and welcome to Stitch of Fate, a Vampire the Masquerade V5 podcast. Since we'll be portraying vampires who have left their mortal lives behind, expect that we're going to do bad things that deal with difficult themes and content meant for an adult audience. This content may include, but is not limited to, body horror, drug use, murder, gore, extreme emotional situations, and graphic images. Remember, don't hold those actions against the players, just the characters. Take care of yourself, mortal, and take a break if you need it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stitch of Fate, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition podcast, the finale of Season 1.
Gasp.
I know, big gasp. As always, I'm your storyteller, Mike Martin, joined by my wonderful players, Dot, Josh, and Mark. Hello, 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 and hello.
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 Hi, guys. It's been a wonderful ride with all of y'all. It's been super fun. I hope you've enjoyed this ride as well.
Yeah, so bittersweet.
It is so bittersweet. I hope we leave you off with enough of a savory hook to want more, but we answer some of your more pressing questions. I think we're just going to dive in. So without further ado, let's bring it down, let's rein it in, and let's see what our coterie is up to. The scene opens near the club again. The distant sirens are now peeling away as the smoke billowing into the sky becomes less and less. The coterie inside Vera's club are in the blood room, milling about, having just gotten the information that the prince, with Gustav in tow, is on their way to inspect the damage. They're well aware it is your domain, but as all know, the entire city is the prince's domain, and the prince may walk where she will. You do not know when she will arrive, and that question lingers openly between the four of you. The sounds outside die down, and the coterie voices pick up.
Well, the prince with Gustav in tow. I have a feeling that he is more involved in this than we originally planned.
Yeah, him showing up at this particular juncture with the prince, that doesn't sound good to me.
Max, what is the likelihood that Gustav is not done with your anniversary present?
I'd say the odds are good. I'd say there's even a chance that he might be involved in the other messes that we find ourselves in.
Yes. Thinking the same thing. Mia, she's the only missing person in all of this that has continued to show up but not actually show up.
Mia. Oh, yeah, Miss Stitchface. Sorry, I've been calling her Miss Stitchface.
Sean's girlfriend.
Yeah.
I was gonna go to the hospital, keep an eye on that. Maybe she'll turn up. She's been watching me. There's no ghoul around. I'm not doing anything else.
We never learned why her lips were stitched, though, some might consider it a fashion choice. Doubtful.
It's gotta be some kind of magic whatnot, right? Like there was a ritual, she was casting it. How does this tie in with Larson?
I don't know.
I don't know, but I picked up on something last time Larson came here, and he was saying about the stitches, and I was like, oh, that's a pretty good way to make someone shut up, but she doesn't make any noise. And then he was like, if anyone touches them, burns them. Can't take them out.
Right, so...
Except she kissed me.
Yeah, but you weren't trying to remove the stitches with your tongue, were you?
But it should have burned
No,
her
but
lips.
I can do that thing with the cherry. It's not important.
Go back. Go back, Sean. Shh. Lawson said you cannot take the stitches out, but she kissed you. And it did not burn your lips? Just a pride?
Well, yeah.
That says to me that it has to be done with intent. It's not like they're an electric fence. It's just if you're trying to take them out, then there's trouble.
Right. So this
Do we
is
wanna
high magic. Very
I have a lot of
powerful.
questions.
Well,
I can get those scissors you were on about. See if we can get rid of them.
I'm going to be honest, Sean, just as I wish I could have been honest with you when you attempted to take something from the chantry. Those lips were sealed for a reason. You may not want to be the person that, well, undoes that.
Yeah. But it's in the back pocket. So,
Sean,
I've got... Yeah.
what were you doing 10 years ago? What was your life like?
It's not too far from what it is at the moment. Drugs, parties, pushing.
Before our current line of events, do you recall meeting Mr. Larson or Mia before you were embraced?
No.
But you were embraced
Apparently.
10 years ago, correct?
It's a little fuzzy. The effects came on a bit slow. I was sweating in the daytime. Sun full on me, so I didn't know any different. Apparently that's weird. Felt really shitty quite a lot of the time. So, not a lot changed.
What are the odds? Purely coincidence again. Gustav, Mia, Larson. They were trying to seed a different prince, potentially. Just a thought.
As much as I'd like to give Larson that much credit, he's kind of quaint. No offense, Sean.
Don't care.
Just seeing some timelines cross.
It's true.
Max's haven was destroyed. Sean was sired. This embrace that inevitably left with Mia, finding herself in a situation where her lips were sewn shut.
Well, Larson did tell us that Mia tried to kill the prince once before and failed.
Yeah,
She-
who would be next? Is there like a next in line thing? Is there like a... Well, it would be a king, a prince to a king, so what's a prince to a prince?
What, you talking about a succession?
Yeah.
From my understanding, there's been no appointed seneschal.
No appointed seneschal, and even then, that's not necessarily a guarantee. A lot of the time, the princedom is decided in 2 or 3 very messy, loud nights, and whoever ends up taking power and is able to subdue the rest is the one who can hold onto the throne. Prince Panhard came about leading New York at a time where there was no Camarilla ruling New York. It was through her and a Nosferatu, actually, that took the seat of temporary prince in New York, that they were able to put the reins back of the Camarilla on the city again and hold some sort of stability. Prince Panhard is truly the first real prince for New York in quite some time.
How long has she been in seat?
Since the 80s, I believe, is when it was. It might have been 90s, so no more than a decade or 2.
Okay.
Again, most princes in V5 are actually very young.
So we don't know who's next, so...
I wonder if it's even that deep. Think about it. All Mia wants is to prove her love to Larson. And Gustav is driven by his need for vengeance.
So everything goes to shit. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I'm afraid it's been shit for some time.
And then what changes? Just we got a dead prince.
We still got no idea of what this gift is that Gustav presented to the prince, that suddenly brought somebody who has at best been on the fringes of the Camarilla right into its center.
Yes, it must have been quite a gift.
No idea.
The biggest thing is, if the prince does happen to perish, it's not good for any of us, Sean. Stability is what the Camarilla provides, or should. And in stability we thrive.
How long has the Princess Ghoul been missing?
Ooh, I want to say at the beginning it was a few months.
We can't very well let the prince show up to our domain without somebody there to greet her.
It's at that point you actually hear in a distant shouting, Maxwell!
Oh shit, this is gonna be good. Okay, I like cock my gun. I'm like,
Dare
I'm
I
ready.
greet him, Max?
Yeah, I'll come with you. Max, of course, he still has all of his weapons on underneath
Of
the
course.
trench coat, including the little sort of pivot harness for the sawed-off shotgun and that whole bit. So, yeah. Just check in on Sam. Make sure
He
he's
is still groggy, but okay.
Okay.
Hanging in and healing. And
All right.
Vera and Max make their way upstairs.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's meet Gustav.
The shouting is clearly coming from outside on the sidewalk. As you open the door and look to the other side, you realize most of the sidewalk is emptied at this point. It's rather late. And on top of that, this part of town beyond your club, there's very little attraction. And the hospital is now completely closed down. While there are certainly emergency vehicles that are in the area, the prince is also by Gustav's side. And the prince has influence wherever she needs it within the city. And all those emergency vehicles are now gone. They simply stand, and as you open the door and walk out, Gustav grandly gestures, very openly standing in the sidewalk in his full open, naked form. And he says, "There is my boy." I'm sorry, what was that?
So he's not using Mask of Many Faces.
He is not. He is
looks like
standing out in the
himself.
open, confident enough that the prince has gotten rid of enough people to hide.
Max just goes, Halloween was last night.
He smiles and he kind of gives the prince a playful shoulder. "I told you my boy was a bit of a raucous one, as I'm sure you already know." Yes, and he's like, "Maxwell, I told her of our past. There's nothing that you need to hide. Prince Panhard is aware that you are my boy. And you, well, are independent now anyway, so it matters not. But yes, this is there where they live. And he looks over to the prince. "Is this what you were hoping to see?" She simply looks past Vera and Max and looking over there. "Glad to see that it isn't your domain, or I should say that it wasn't your haven that was struck directly. I was curious what caused quite the ruckus, and Gustav said that he knew those who lived here."
Yes, it seems that during our Elysium, the local hospital was attacked.
Are we aware as to why?
Currently not.
Hmm.
We have had little time to investigate, but do not fret.
And
We
you
will
are all
find out.
in good spirits and alive then.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to know what's going on, we could always check with Gustav. I mean, he's a clever fellow and usually has all manner of theories.
I don't know what you speak of, my dear Maxwell. I was
No.
with you in Elysium when such attack happened.
Oh.
I was
but
speaking to the prince mere moments after you, was I not, Prince Panhard? And she just looks up to him and gives him a nod, but nothing more.
Yeah, it's funny because that hospital just happened to be where I made my feeding grounds.
Oh, Maxwell, I am sorry to hear that. I know how picky you can be when it comes to food. Perhaps we can work something out. Old time's sake. I'll get you food and we'll see what you can do to work for me. How's that sound?
That's a very generous offer.
I am a forgiving father.
Yeah.
Do not worry, Gustav. Max works for all of us now. And I gesture to the club. As kind as that is, he's not in need of your services anymore.
How very Generous of you. Charitable, even.
Whatever you need to call it.
I merely speak in truth. I don't mean it as an insult. My apologies if it was taken as such. Well, my prince, now that we've seen their haven, and you know that they are all okay, shall we leave? I'll walk you back. And the prince kind of looks again, and then just makes a gentle nod, and begins to turn to leave.
Oh, hi. It's Vera. While you're sitting around taking a break, do us a little favor, would you? Go visit dieharddice.com. Die Hard Dice is a sponsor of this little podcast. They help make what we do possible. During checkout, make sure to use the code STITCH-NOV. When you do, you'll get 15% off during the month of November from your entire purchase. And we get a little cut for our own resources. Sounds like we only roll with the best. Prince Panhard, thank you for gracing us with your presence. You did not have to come down here to check on us.
She stops for a moment and turns. The city is my domain. I must ensure all is being kept safe.
Thank you again for your kindness.
You are welcome. During this, Sean and Duke, where are you?
I imagine that Duke could probably come upstairs, at least to venture to see what all of the ruckus was about.
And Sean?
Sean's off getting ready.
So you're in your room.
Oh, yeah.
Duke, can I get a wits awareness from you, please, then?
Yeah.
If you're the only one out there?
Yeah, you can certainly do that. You know what? I'll even go as far as rousing the blood.
Ooh, add a 1d10. Your hunger does not gain.
2. Can I roll 2 of those again, please?
Yep. You may willpower and reroll 2. With 3 successes, the camera is still lingering nearby Gustav and Max and Vera and the prince. It blurs and refocuses over to the front of the door, a distance away. We see a plain figure standing in it, just watching quietly, wordlessly, and stoically to ensure that his help is not needed. But of course, Duke is paying more attention than just to the conversation. He's not involved, and so he has the gift of being able to look elsewhere. Into the corner of his eye, across the street. Near the same spot Son saw her last time. Mia, in an alleyway, is watching the conversation around the corner.
Interesting. I will nod to everyone, to the prince and to the rest of the coterie that's there. And I will exit the establishment.
Wits awareness from the other two. See if they catch Duke making nods.
Oh, a 2.
And 1 from Max, please. 2 and a 1. You don't. He's too far away. You're kind of on the other side of the street, so you don't catch him making a nod. And Duke, you step out, and your plan is to what?
Well, if she's watching, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave her to her
You want
alone,
to stay and watch her as she's watching them. Okay? Keeping eyes on.
If there is like a bench or a seat nearby, even if it is like a building or 2 down.
There's a bus stop not too far you could sit at.
Sure. I will nod to her, and behind myself I'll sort of like draw the finger like, come this way, please.
Okay? When you do that, Sean, we'll say you're about to come downstairs and make your way out the front door. When she realizes you see her and you actually motion for her, she actually sprints out from the alleyway, making herself clearly visible to everybody, and starts to run down the street, not aggressively, but in a way that it makes her obvious to everyone. Sean, as you're making your way outside, you actually see her. She actually catches sight of you, and she beelines it toward you. She looks worried and panicked, not mean or aggressive. Everybody sees this, including the prince, who his mouth drops agape for a minute, and then Gustav, who wits awareness from Vera and Max, please.
2.
1.
Vera, you merely for the briefest of moments catch his eyes widen in a quick smirk before he goes down to worried. And he then looks surprised as well to see Mia. Sean, she runs over to you, and places herself, stops about a foot short, and she puts her hands over her chest and then reaches out to yours to touch it. She doesn't, again, do you let her?
I'm gonna let her, but I'm gonna grab her wrist.
Sure. She presses her palm against yours, and as you grab her wrist, her eyes widen and she gives you like a gentle shake of the head. You may wits insight if you wish to try to pick up on what she's trying to assuage or what she's trying to say to you.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna need that.
She looks to you like she's looking to you for safety.
I'm just gonna whisper to her. I feel like I'm being fucked with here.
She actually allows herself to be pulled in closer, and she actually grabs your hand and openly puts it on her throat. And she shakes her head no.
Don't kill you?
And she just keeps shaking her head, eyes wide.
If I glance back and I see that they're not there, like she's not running in that direction.
Yeah, you see, as you turn back, you see the scene. You see Sean at the front of the club with her near her. You see the other four looking back and beginning to walk their way back as the prince leads the way, starting to walk. Everybody may now speak and react.
Yeah, then I'll move up to this.
We see
situation.
Duke turn and begin to walk that way.
Yes.
I say, Prince Panhard, you seem to know this girl.
Quiet, Vera.
Sorry.
And she walks. She, realizing people are coming behind, Mia steps behind Sean.
Max is going to sort of turn to Gustav and just go, "So, friend of yours?"
He smiles and looks back to you. I've never seen this girl in my life, Maxwell.
Well, the smile on your face earlier may have given you away, Gustav.
I don't know what you speak of, my dear Vera.
Of course you don't. Do not worry.
And he continues to move forward. Eventually, everybody stops about 20 feet from Sean and Duke. Do you stop or do you try to get as close as possible? The prince stops, however.
I'll move up within 10 feet of everybody.
Okay.
Just like the quick jaunt grab if I have to.
Mm-hmm. Sean, what do you do? I know, Max, you were going to do something as well, but I'm curious what Sean does, as she clearly is trying to put you between her and them.
Sean is so confused because so am I. So, she's clear. I don't know what the throat of the heart thing is about. I'm so confused. But, so I think, Sean's gonna just he's gonna stay in front of Mia.
Okay. You stay in front.
And just say, if you want to talk again, then maybe start explaining things clearer. Because I don't know what's happening.
When
and
you
he's
say
gonna,
that,
give a half smile to the prince.
Yeah, when you say that, she actually will spin you half around, and she will kind of open your palm and place in it a small pocket knife. She reaches up to her lips and drags your forefinger across them. You run your finger across and feel each and every one, but it does not burn. You asked her to speak. She's giving you what you believe the answer to do so.
Did we see that?
Yep.
Wits awareness, as this is not being flagrant and you're a distance away.
Okay, so that's my question. How close are
20
we?
feet.
That's a better question.
20
Okay,
feet
perfect.
away. The prince stopped 20 feet.
I'll make a roll on it. I'm
Sure.
pretty close.
Yep. Wits awareness.
I had 2 successes.
That'd be not enough.
Oh, Vera got all 3.
Max got 3.
From your distance, you see them doing something, but you're not aware of what is being handed off or what's happening. You just see them do a motion. Does Sean hesitate? That's all I need to know right now. Does he hesitate and does he think? Or does he act immediately?
Just for a slight moment before he cuts
He just
the
cuts.
stitches.
Okay.
No!
Uh,
Wait! I'd like a reaction to that!
You would all see him. You would see the motion, not sure what exactly happened, and you would see Sean immediately turn fully and just kind of pull the knife and just start to move, what would your reactions be? And depending on what the actions are, you may or may not be able to get the action in.
I'd like to use fleetness.
Okay, what does
to
fleetness
get to
do
him
for everybody?
before he can do this. So it would be allows you to move and react with dizzying speed. On the rouse check, add celerity rating to the dice pool for non-combat dexterity test. Once per turn, the user may be able to use this.
So it's non-combat. Are you looking to do something combat?
So it says once per turn, the user may do this when defending with dexterity athletics.
Defending, correct.
Yeah, defending. So that would be, I want to get between them, if at all possible.
To stop him from pulling the... See, I see that as an aggressive maneuver, not a defensive one.
Oops, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to actually roll that.
No, that's fine. You're
but
good.
that's what I was trying to give you that one so you could read it.
I would say that would be more of a 5-dot ability where you can do the thing that takes a round that you can just act. I don't think this would be enough to get between him and her because it's a defensive ability, and I'm seeing this more as an aggressive move to get Sean away. You're trying to put space.
Okay, interesting. Space between them. Then I'll just reach out. I say, Sean. And you'll hear me call your name.
It would be, so you could, saying something would give Sean in a moment, if he'd like, to hesitate and stop and not go through with it and say something.
Yeah, I think Sean will just say, like, with the point at her lips and his other hand, like, under her chin. I mean, give me a reason why I shouldn't.
Because the prince is standing here in front of you. Let her choose.
And as you say that, the prince actually does take a step forward. Sean Best, you have before you a Tremere who should be dead, sentenced to death decades ago. The fact that she is alive not only calls for the punishment of her, but the one who allowed her to live. At that, you actually feel Mia behind you grip tightly to your clothing and pull herself close to you, and you hear what could be interpreted as a whimper.
I'm gonna look intensely at Gustav at this point.
Gustav is clearly cherishing all of this, standing back and not listening. And then as you actually are watching Gustav kind of whispers under his breath, but Maxwell can hear, as can Vera. The last actor is here. And as he says that, you all look around, you see pulling up a vehicle, a yellow cab. Stepping out of the passenger seat and quickly shoving money is Larson. And you hear him say, "Stop! Don't do anything!
Shut up, Larson!"
Listen to me, Sean. He runs up and he actually rushes past Maxwell and Gustav and Vera and stops next to the prince. I didn't want to believe that but I didn't know who else was going to do it. Don't, Sean. The prince looks to Larson. No matter how this turns out, Mr. Larson, we have a lot to discuss. Larson's eyes dart to her, but immediately back over to Sean and Mia and widen. Listen, Sean, ask, but don't do anything rash that could put me and subsequently you in danger. Do you understand?
I look at the prince. Am I in danger, or is it just him?
There's more at stake here, boy, than you understand.
Well, the way I see it, all of you are monsters. She's the only one that's not lied to me yet.
I haven't lied to you, Sean. I kept things from you for your own safety. The prince was watching you. Of course she was watching you.
I've come to expect it. I'm gonna look to the other three.
Duke, Vera, and Max each get a look from Sean.
During this conversation, Max has sort of reached down into his pocket through the opening in the trench coat so that he can actually rest his hand on the butt of the shotgun. It's loaded with dragon breath shells, by the way.
Oh, I know.
Sean, we may be monsters, in your book. But your coterie has never lied to you. Ever.
Yeah, and that's
There is
why...
a process for dealing with things like this.
When were you one for process? Don't you want a
Every
little bit of
time.
degeneracy? Don't you want a little bit of chaos? This
Sean,
isn't working.
And what, you're going to take matters into your own little hands?
No. I
You
just want you to
take
give
us
the
all
word.
down? I can't do that.
Yeah, kid, just don't get squirrely here, all right? The stakes are kind of high.
I don't want to see anyone hurt. I just want answers.
So do I. Prince Panhard pipes up.
Your prince wants answers. Just put the knife away. That's a starting point.
I'm gonna look at Duke and Max because well, basically because Sean's not getting the answer he wants.
Max is like shaking his head. Is like, hey, don't look at me, kid. I don't know anything about any of this magic whatnot, and I think we're playing with fire here.
I'm not scared of fire.
You should be. Do you want me to tell you the truth, Sean? The last of truth.
No better time for it.
You put the knife down first.
Come on, Sean. And Mr. Larson takes a couple steps forward with his hand out.
Do you glance back at Duke even further?
Yes.
Duke will pause for a moment, and while he has your gaze, you're never a monster, Sean. Some of us always were. And some of us don't mind making you stop. And I will mesmerize him.
Rouse check, please. You do not gain a hunger. What do you say?
With that intense, like, icy blue stare, just here, put the knife down, Sean.
He puts it on the floor.
At that, Larson actually runs up and scoops the knife out of the ground and backs up a few 5 steps to put distance between him and you. Mia, you feel clutching you now even tighter. Sean, just step away from her, please.
He's gonna look to Mia.
We see Sean turn and look down at Mia as she looks up. You see a crimson bead well in the corner of her eye before trickling down. She keeps shaking her head. No, no, no. She once again places your whole hand on her mouth. It does not burn.
Yeah. I know. And Sean is... I don't think he's gonna step away. He's just gonna stay there.
Facing her. She keeps placing your hand at her, and she keeps dragging your hand across the stitches, rapidly, panicked.
I start to kind of close the gap real slow. Sean. I know you don't want her hurt, yes?
No.
I know you don't want Larson hurt.
He thinks about it. No.
For what it's worth,
too
I'm
late
sorry,
for that.
kid. I'm gonna make it right.
Larson,
Vera.
tell her, the prince. Tell her that you came to us. Tell her the truth.
Yeah.
Now.
I came to them, all right? Found out she was back. I thought she was gone. We made a deal. He looks past everybody, too. to Gustav. When I heard she was back, we made a deal. Sorry. Gustav simply says, I don't know what you're talking about, Larson. I was never involved in this, and you have no proof. Larson looks back, and doesn't matter. It's my fault she's here either way. He actually will step forward toward Mia. I should have done the right thing the first time. Did Sean step away?
No, Sean still stood there, like, looking at this terrified woman.
Larson closes the gap. Please, Max. What?
Max hasn't actually said anything since he had that word with Sean. But while Gustav is talking, and Max isn't looking at him, but under the coat, the double-barreled sawed-off shotgun is now, it's basically leveled directly at Gustav's crotch. But Max is looking straight ahead.
I love it. No problem. No problem. He was supposed to get me out of here. All right? Leave the city. But she's not here. Didn't go through with this deal. But it doesn't matter. Isn't that right, Gustav? There was no deal. So let me just finish this, and the prince can do with what she will. Whether that be removing me from the council or removing me from existence. The only thing I ask of you, my prince, is to leave my family out of this. The prince does not respond. Sean, move out of the way, please.
Sean?
He, with the hesitation, listen. Sean, I understand, okay? But she's dangerous. It's my fault you're in this position in the first place. I get that. I do. But that's something we can deal with after this. You don't understand.
Larson has the knife, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to step away.
Where do you step to? Far?
Nah, just like one step away from...
Either way, as soon as you step out of the way, he closes that gap and he places his arms very, very rapidly around her. It actually pulls her tight. Can I get a wits awareness from you, Sean, only? You're the only one close enough.
2.
Okay, 2 successes. You can pick up little mumblings in his sobs between his words and his breathing. You simply hear him say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, you were right. You were right, this place is not for me. In that moment, he steps back and you watch as he kisses her, passionately as a tear runs down his eyes, and he quickly pulls the knife up and makes with a quick, swift motion, a swipe across her lips. Sean watches as he steps back. She breathes in very deeply and simply says one phrase, quietly, but loud enough for Sean to hear. Salve duce meum et dicam princeps. And you watch as those words echo out, filling the street. Any and all who would be wandering the street would be able to hear it, but you're the only one standing. And you watch as slowly Prince Panhard's limbs snap outright as she plunges to her knees. She lays back and takes an incredibly relaxed position on the road, her eyes staring upward, but her limbs unable to move. You watch as a clean line of blood begins to draw across her forehead and bleed openly. She says nothing, speaks nothing. Would anybody like to make an action as all of this is taking place?
Max is going to unload both barrels into Gustav's crotch.
The silence is broken with the loud crack, crack of a shotgun blowing a wild, fiery hole open in your trench coat and landing directly into Gustav. I will need a dexterity firearms roll from you. Normally with a called shot, you're at a -2. However, you're so close, you're at point blank range. I'm going to give you a +1 instead.
That is 4 successes.
4 successes plus the damage that a shotgun just does, just outright, which I believe is 3 flat. I could be wrong. And plus the dragon rounds doing aggravated damage. There's a giant blast and spark veer nearby, as for a moment you might have been blinded from the bright flash of fire. You hear Gustav hiss and scream unhuman noises as he stumbles back 3 or 4 steps, clutching himself and taking a couple of knees before he looks up wide-eyed at Max standing over him with a smoking shotgun barrel coming through his trench coat before he very quickly disappears from view. Max.
Yeah,
Vera, you see that happen.
I figured he was gonna do that, but it was worth it.
Oh, he's fucked
Vera
up.
goes to the prince.
The prince is lying on the ground at this point, thick vitae pouring onto the ground. And you watch as Larson quickly scoops up Mia, and you see him whisper something into her ear, give her a very quick kiss. And before you realize it, as he stands before you, suddenly he and Mia vanish. The prince is bleeding out before you. The only ones around to see it are you. As you get together and begin to speak, you actually hear wheels rolling up, a door open, and a long jet-black hair man walking about a block up as the 4 of you stand around the body of the prince, and Kadir the sheriff makes his way forward. He looks at the 4 of you and down to the prince before you see him very quietly reach for his sword. Not a word and not a move, Drac Pack. What the hell is going on here? And we cut to black. As the season comes to a close, and the coterie is in dire straits.
Do Vera a little favor, would you? Break out that masquerade brooch in your pocket and follow us on Facebook and Twitter @PodByNight or Stitch of Fate. Make sure to leave us a little 5-star rating and review, would you? And if you don't, well, I guess I'll just have to send Max after you.
Special thank you to Kimberly and Sean Casey for sponsoring this podcast. Stitch of Fate wouldn't be possible without your incredible kindness and support. You sure know how to rouse our blood.